Hey guys, for today's video, I want to talk to you about the 5 things that nobody discusses when it comes to acne. From genetics, to what you actually have control over, to medication options and side effects, to diet and nutrition. As you know, this isn't my first rodeo. I've had acne for over 15 years, and although I have cleared my skin, I still get breakouts every now and then, and being a beauty blogger, I'm someone who tries out new products all the time, which inevitably breaks me out. Also, being someone who's trying to study to become a dermatologist to help other people with their skin, I have to be honest, so far in my schooling, I haven't been taught a lot of the things that actually worked for me. So when it comes to it, I am here exposing the secrets, my personal experience, talking to other acne sufferers, and even looking at scientific literature. These are the 5 top things that nobody really discusses when it comes to acne. Now, the first thing we have to talk about is something that I kind of have to get off my chest, and it has to do with makeup and acne. There are some pimples that you cannot cover with makeup. I covered my severe cystic acne for years and became a model because nobody could tell that I had it. I have mastered layering, I have mastered contouring, I have mastered light, depth, shadow, covering texture, and covering color. I have even been on national TV such as Good Morning America and The Today Show because of it. But at the same time, to be completely open, honest, and visceral with you, there are some scars and some raised pimples that you cannot cover with makeup. Doesn't mean you shouldn't try, and it doesn't mean that makeup won't help, but there are some cysts that are so nodular that they literally stick out of the skin almost like an abscess or a growth. And even if you use light or shadow, you can kind of diminish those, but there are some, very rarely, that are so intense they simply cannot be covered. There are also some scars such as super raised keloids or ice pick or boxcar scars. They're very rare, but if you have them big enough, makeup will never be able to cover them completely. Unless you literally build on a mold to your skin like a fake nose that they do in cinematography and in movies, you won't be able to disguise that texture if it is that raised. Scars are like ropes in the skin, and when we talk, they stretch and they expand and they contract. But scars, being a little bit more wiry, do not stretch and expand the way our natural skin does. So if you have scars that are a couple millimeters deep that go really, really deep into the dermis, even if you're able to fill those in, the second somebody starts talking, those will be noticeable. And that is very hard for me to say because I am a huge proponent of using makeup to your advantage, using it as a strategic tool to cover certain parts or certain areas that you don't want to be noticeable. And although I definitely think that in every situation and in every single case makeup can help, I have to be the first to admit it is not always possible to cover and conceal them 100%. The second thing that nobody talks about is the fact that your skin has a microbiome. You know how everyone talks about the microbiome inside your gut and your good bacteria and your bad bacteria and how it can control your weight and what you eat and all this stuff? Guess what? Your skin has one too, and people hardly ever talk about this. All over our bodies, we have bacteria. Some people might be afraid of that, but this bacteria is healthy. Most of it is staph, but a non-detrimental type. And this is essential to our skin's natural functioning. Our face has that too, and our face has a biome. Now, the biggest problem for acne sufferers is when P. acnes bacteria starts taking over the skin. Your skin's microbiome becomes infected with this P. acnes bacteria. The way bacteria works is kind of like a political vote, and whoever has the most votes wins. And if you have a bunch of good bacteria on your face or in your gut, the good bacteria will win, and you'll be a healthy, functioning human. But if something comes in like P. acnes bacteria or a detrimental strain of staph bacteria like MRSA, and if those numbers, those votes outweigh the good bacteria, all of a sudden you start to get issues. So when it comes down to it, I think people need to be aware that your skin does have a microbiome and you can't strip it. One of the most frustrating things for me was not knowing for so many years that so many of my skincare products were stripping my microbiome. Acne cleansers and acne chemicals can be really harsh, and yeah, you'll see results. They'll dry out your skin or they'll make it red, and you'll see differences in the way your acne is presenting itself. But nobody was ever telling me that those chemicals weren't just destroying the P. acnes bacteria, they were destroying my good bacteria as well. And they're just like, we're gonna blow up the whole thing. And this is something that isn't talked about because it is new science and it is, extremely cutting edge. But I think it's important because I spent so many years, so much money, and so many burnt, red, itchy faces and stained pillowcases trying to treat my acne, not knowing that I was actually making things worse. Number 3. Acne medications have some crazy side effects. Obviously, if a doctor has prescribed you a medication, they have done this in your best interest because they think it's going to help you. But unfortunately, a lot of my doctors that I saw prescribed me medications without telling me everything that would happen. One of the biggest things for me was tetracycline, doxycycline, and minocycline. I took those a long time ago, and the doctor warned me, you might get photosensitivity or sensitivity to light. It might turn your teeth a little yellow and you might feel a little queasy. Nobody prepared me for the fact that number 1, it would destroy my gut bacteria, and then number 2, that I would be throwing up every single day. I have this vivid memory of taking, I think it was like 800 milligrams of minocycline, which is what I was prescribed from the doctor, and driving my grandma's car out to San Francisco because I had a modeling gig. And I remember I was feeling queasy on the ride there. I was thinking to myself, I'm not gonna barf, I'm not gonna barf, I'm not gonna barf. I was driving down the freeway. Next thing you know, blueberries all over the car. And I remember this very vividly because number 1, it was my grandma's car. I was so embarrassed. And then I turned around, so not only did I miss my modeling gig, but when I got home, my brother started teasing me. Long story short, nobody prepared me for that. Nobody prepared me for the fact that the acne medication I was taking could have an impact on my gut bacteria, could cause irritable bowel syndrome and episodes, that it could cause me to gain weight. Nobody talked to me about this and nobody prepared me for this. And when I look things up online now and I know what to search for, I'm able to find some of these things. But if I don't search for the exact symptom, there's literally nothing online telling people about it. And I think it's really important to know that obviously physicians have your best interest in mind and you should trust them. And there are times where acne medication is essential to prevent scarring, to help your emotional and physical health. But at the same time, I think you should be aware of all of the potential side effects that could happen, even the very uncommon ones. Because the very uncommon ones that less than 1% of people get happen to be the side effects that happened to me. And if I would have known that before taking the medication, I wonder if I would have made the decision to take the medication differently. Number 4 is what you eat affects your skin. Now, I'm really happy that this has been talked about more and more recently online, and you can find bloggers or people who have cured their acne or weightlifters who went vegan or stopped eating dairy that helped out their skin. But I still feel like there's this stigma that people don't relate what you eat to how your skin functions. When you think about it, we started off as little roly-poly babies and toddlers, and we grew into these gigantic humans. How did we get here? Literally, breathing oxygen, sleeping, and eating food. Those 3 things are the building blocks to your entire body, who you are and who you become. How can somebody tell me that food does not affect the person that I become, how my body rebuilds itself, and how my skin rebuilds itself? Now, there are some people who don't suffer from acne or who don't show the same symptoms. Everybody's body is different and everyone's going to have a different reaction to food. But when it comes to me and many other acne sufferers who I've spoken to, a lot of people have noticed that what they eat affects their skin. Especially if you eat a lot of inflammatory foods, those can cause different hormonal changes in your body. Those hormonal changes can cause different cytokines and different inflammatory things to happen, which can cause more oil, more of these fatty acids, more of this bacteria, and more breakouts in your skin. Thankfully, there is scientific literature that backs this up as well. There have been many people, and even some doctors that now is a kind of professional in acne suffering that I've had the chance to speak to, who have also attested to the fact that some of their patients have seen reductions in acne when cutting out dairy. And for me, animal products and actual meat was a huge part of that too. Long story short behind that is because animals are sometimes fed antibiotics to make them grow faster. And because of my past experience with antibiotics, aka throwing up blueberries in a car, my body does not handle antibiotics well. And so antibiotics in the meat sometimes stays in the tissue, sometimes stress hormones from the animals stay in the tissue, and then we ingest that. Blah, 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 blah. Here's Cassandra. She eats a lot of vegetables. She's not a nutritionist. But I have found from my personal experience, diet has such a huge effect on my acne, if not even more so than skincare, if not exactly as much as skincare. Because I always thought like, oh, if I get the skincare right, my face will be clear. Diet has such a huge impact on my skin. The very last thing that nobody talks about is the scars. And I hate to say this, but the fact that scars are even harder to treat than acne. You know how crappy it feels to look in a mirror and see this pimple that's there for a month and you're waiting for it to go away for 2 months even. Imagine sitting there, looking at the mirror, looking at a scar that doesn't go away for 3 years. This has been really hard for me, especially because I've had an issue with picking, I've had an issue with like self-harm type tendencies and OCD type tendencies, and I mean, acne sucked and it was red and it was inflamed, but nobody told me that the scars could sometimes be worse. And thankfully, I'm in a healthy emotional state where I know how to look at myself. I can look at myself in a mirror without makeup and still say that I love myself and still go about my day confident and feeling beautiful. But if I didn't find that self-confidence, I wonder if I would be the same person, the same insecure, hurting person I was with acne, if not even worse. Because these scars are the living reminders etched into my skin of what it felt like to have acne. I kind of knew that, like intuitively, you know that scars are going to be there, but nobody literally prepares you for the fact that they are going to be there and that you're going to try very, very hard to treat them and that you might be able to treat them as I have, but they're going to take a lot longer to treat. And I am still knee-deep in that journey. So when it comes to it, I want to thank you for being a part of my journey and for being there with me. Because as I said, I'm now at this place where I am empowered. And even though I have acne and I've still got breakouts and I've still got scars, I'm at this place where I can love myself regardless of that. And if it weren't for you and this community, I don't know if that would be possible. So is there anything else that you know from personal experience or from talking to other people that you feel like nobody else talks about when it comes to acne? Post a comment right now. Let's open up the discussion. Let's all talk about these things that nobody talks about and let's lay them on the table so that we can find solutions together. Remember that you are never alone and you always have a group of other people, your acne warriors, behind you and supporting you. And I am one of them. I love you guys so much. If you liked this video, please let me know. And I really can't wait to take a look at your comments down below. I love you. I hope you found this video helpful and I cannot wait to see you all in the next one. Love you guys. Bye.